Welcome to Jen Care's Live Talks powered by Swag Her Magazine and Chosen Counselors, the show that brings the community to you Mondays at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Here we engage in tough talks and meaningful conversations, featuring guests that help us stay in the know. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to like and follow our page. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to never miss a show. Now, here's your host, Jen Cares.
All right, so greetings, guys. I am obviously not Jen Cares. It's fancy. I'm the award-winning publisher and editor-in-chief of Swagger Magazine, and this is actually an episode of CEO Chatter Live. I do apologize. I hadn't been in StreamYard for a while, so I was not expecting that. However, shout out to Jen. You all can check her out on every other Monday. But today we have a special guest with us. We have Miss Jackie B. Grice. And basically we're just going to dive right into things. Jackie's going to tell us about the retreat that she's hosting, as well as a little bit about her work and just who she is overall. So if you are tuned in, I do ask that you will share the broadcast, and be sure to like it. Also, you can let us know where you are tuned in from. So Miss Jackie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you? How's it going?
I'm good. It's cold, but I'm good.
Yes, same here. Same here.
Yeah. So just to get right into our questions, for those new to you, how would you describe who you are and the work you do?
Wow. Well, I am a cross between an entrepreneur and a soulpreneur. So I lead business and life, but I do it in a way that you're whole, healed, and healthy. So that sort of wraps it up what I'm about as an entrepreneur, like a serial entrepreneur, but also a person that really cares about leading from the soul.
I like that a lot. And I've heard other people refer to themselves as soulpreneurs. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And you also host the Soul Sabbatical Retreats. What inspired you to create these retreats, and why center Black women in that experience?
Oh, yeah. So it started, to be honest, I as a transportation, my husband and I was running a multi-million-dollar transportation company. So we have shuttles, buses, we do transportation management. And during COVID, literally, as you know, because of social distancing, no one was getting on any type of closed anything, buses, cars, nothing. And we saw our business that we had both spent most of our lives building just come to a complete halt. And I had, for the most part, been like and not even realizing it, just been going through life like a hamster on a wheel, just kind of just going. And that hustle kind of mentality, just continuously going. Well, COVID just stopped all that. And I found myself like, what do I do? Who am I? How do I save my business? And I was instructed by one of my mentors to go into silence for 2 days. And I literally sat under a tree in my front yard and I went into silence. At night, I'd come in the house. That next day, I'd go back out there. Only thing that I had was my journal. And out of those 2 days, that spiritual voice, it spoke and it said for me to launch deeper. And I'm like, what is that? But it was to also show others how to launch deeper. So as time would go by, the more revelation I received on that. And it basically was that in the middle, we're in the middle of chaos. When things are crazy, there is still a deeper calling and purpose on our lives. And when we think the thing that we're supposed to be doing in silence and in meditation, you really find out what you're truly called to do. And that's how it started. And then I started hosting retreats, and fast forward to today, I am taking this is my third retreat, and we're going to the beautiful Salamander resort in Middleburg, Virginia. And it is owned by the first African American billionaire, Sheila Johnson. So I'm taking a busload of women, right, on this retreat, and we're going to do silence and meditation and just learning about radical rest and just resting, because in the rest, and what I did in silence in 2 days changed the trajectory of my life. My business grew. I started coaching, business consulting, and I didn't even know that was part of who I was until I stopped.
I think
Yeah. So
I think that's really amazing, that that you, for one, were able to sit in silence for 2 days. That's a beautiful thing to just be able to do within itself. But then also the transformation that you went through after that, to go from being an entrepreneur to then being a coach. I mean, it's similar, but you really seems like out of your comfort zone in some ways, and tried new things. And I think that that's possibly the most beautiful thing there. But then also, I think it's really cool that you are taking women to the Salamander, right? Which you said is black owned by another woman, who is the first, as you said, the first black woman millionaire. I think that is really, it's just it kind of makes everything kind of come full circle. It seems like it was supposed to align that way. So I'm really excited about how things sound. So how do you define rest, especially for high achieving women who struggle to slow down?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is just not being rushed in your decision making. It's taking time to really think. Like, before I make a decision or a business decision, I really take time, a day. I like to block a day out of my week when I do nothing but just think and meditate on what I should do, who I should be in business with. Is this a good business decision? And it's not like I'm laying on a couch, which it's okay to do. That's another thing that we are guilty. We don't do. We feel like we can't take a break because it's like right now for a lot of women to take a break in the middle of the day, say they're working from home or wherever, and go lay on a couch and take a nap, they would feel anxiety. I shouldn't be doing it. This is lazy. I got 1,000 things on my desk I need to do. And that's the reality of it. But I have learned to know that taking breaks and rest it slowed my mind down so that I can make better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And we actually host the rest and wellness event as well. When we started last year, we hosted our first one. And I just realized for me personally, just how important rest was, because I call myself a recovering workaholic. So to hear you say that you can take a day, like, I just think that would be so amazing, to be able to have a schedule like that. Then I'm kind of curious, because I feel like, well, because I was like, okay, so what about for the woman who may not be in a position to really take a day? What would you suggest? But I'm kind of thinking you might say something like a half a day or a trial on a weekend, or is there something in particular you would say about that?
Yeah. I mean, what do we have? 168 hours in a week, right? Let's like break that down. That's it's like people that say, I don't have money to invest. There are, and I get it. Everybody's situation is different, but we have what we find, right? So when I have 168 hours in a week, and I have the same amount of hours that anybody else in this world has. There's a time, even if I, like you said, block out 30 minutes, an hour, because we all know we can scroll for 2, 3, I've done it. I'm like,
Yeah.
been, and you look up and it's like, oh my God, it's like an hour, right? So it's there. You just have to find it and you have to prioritize it. That's the thing. And I would just say start with 15, because I guarantee you when you start to see your life change, like for me, when I took 2 days and it radically changed my life. It is like, I just have to do this. This has to be a part of what I do, because if I made quantum leaps in just 2 days of being silent, imagine what I could do just by incorporating that into my routine,
Mhm.
and it has just literally, and like I say, I journal, I take that time, I get quiet. If something comes to my mind, I journal it, and then I put pictures with it. So it's like an elevated form of vision boarding.
Mhm.
So I incorporate like a whole routine. But the crazy thing, and I started look, this is a journal. It's like a vision board in a journal, right?
Mhm.
I started this after my retreat. We did a retreat in Costa Rica last year. And this was something that was laid on my heart to do. It came just in that space of resting. And I started this March of this year, and probably 5 things that I put in here that were like long term, because a lot of times when we do vision boards and stuff like that, these are things like off in the future.
Mhm.
All those types of things literally happened in 20.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I saw like 4 or 5 things, and it just, after that I was like, I got to do it. I got to make it part of my routine. So
Like, I'm gonna have to try that too. Then you giving me all type of tips I want to try. I'm gonna have to get back with you and tell you how things turn out.
yes, yes.
So, the Refresher Retreat blends prayer, meditation, mindful movement, and purpose work. Why merge both faith and wellness in this way?
Well, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a faith driven person. And I know that it took me really hearing God to get out of that pattern that I was in. Like, I was a people pleaser. All these people were, I was attached to people that didn't even care about me, didn't have my back, but I didn't see any of that. And we don't see stuff when we're constantly moving. And this
Mhm.
is a time to really just stop and pause and focus on you and what you need, and what God, or your what God is speaking to you, what you're hearing, what that inner voice is really saying, because so many times we don't listen to that, and we make decisions based on sometimes the people that we're hanging with. you know
Mhm.
they say it's good, or oh, that's, you should do that, and it's not even what you're supposed to be doing. You're like in a hole, and you're like, well, who told me that? you know
Right.
yeah.
Listening to the wrong voices.
Oh my gosh. So that's why I merged that, because that is how I saw things change in my life. I mean, I became a certified coach. I mean, it just was, and none of that was in my cards. I helped people as an entrepreneur for so many years. People would ask me to sit down with them, but I never looked at it like coaching. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Okay. And so, from your perspective as a strategist, how can entrepreneurs build businesses that support wellness instead of burnout?
oh yeah. Just slowing down, finding out what matters to you, what your core values are. I used to, and writing a book called The Fearful Leader, because that's who I was. I led in fear. But you know, when you take time to really look at things, you're not anxious to make decisions. You're not connecting to the wrong people. You're not bringing the wrong people on your team. And you know it as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we know this isn't a good idea. But because we're rushed, because we're always under pressure, because we're always reactive in business, we're never really proactive. We're constantly building a business out of something happened, you know, oh, I got to do this. I need to hire this. We're never really sitting back saying, why do I have to rush putting somebody in this seat? Why don't I take my time? And those are the kind of things that I see entrepreneurs do all the time. I did it. So that's why it's so important to really just slow down and listen and hear instead of just doing. And I'm not sure if I really answered that right, but
no, I totally get it. And I think the audience will get it as well. So basically what you're saying is that we just need to slow down so that we can be more observant. And you practice discernment. Sounds like it to me. That's kind of what I was getting from it.
Listen to your heart. Just you listen to your spirit. What is your spirit telling you? You can normally pick up stuff from people. But we always, oh, maybe I'm maybe let me give them a chance. Maybe I'm picking up something wrong. You have to go with what you're discerning and stick with it.
I have to ask this because I've been listening to you and I'm like, is she a Libra?
I'm a Libra.
No, I knew it. I'm a Libra. Really? That's how I knew, like, as you were saying it, when you said that about the wrong people, when you started there, I was like, you know what, this sounds, but when you also just mentioned that part about like, we'll have that intuitive spirit, but still give people the benefit of the doubt, knowing that we shouldn't. Yes. Okay. All right. So we're on the same page.
We on the same page. Absolutely, man. It's just like, and I had to make a decision. Like, I'm not getting hit upside the head but one time. I'm not doing this. Like, if like I tell people, a snake is a snake on Monday, is a snake on Wednesday. Stop trying to think that the snake is not going to be a snake. And you get bit and it's like, well, you knew it, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've had to learn the hard way as well.
Yes.
So you've built a multi-million-dollar company rooted in faith and purpose. What practices help you stay grounded while growing?
Oh, just, you know, one thing I understand is that it can all change in an instant. Like, I think us going through COVID really showed me we were like on target to have our best year and it stopped. It just changed. You know, we live in a world, especially now with all the political craziness, something can be said or done that can literally just change everything. And that's why I just try to take each moment, be as thankful and as impactful as I can in that moment, because tomorrow, you know, we all hear that tomorrow's not promised, but we're hearing more than ever. I mean, you don't have to be older to pass away. There are people in their 30s, 20s, they don't wake up, you know, all types of things that didn't seem to happen, you know, back in the day. So it's just not promised. So I try to live each day. And another thing, you know, like tomorrow may not be guaranteed. The other thing is I try to live in a way where I look at it that people are watching, whether I'm here working from home or in my office or if I'm out. I try to live my life as a leader as though people are watching me, you know, and not being something behind closed doors and then trying to be fake outside of the closed doors, because people can pick that stuff up. You can kind of tell when people are fake or, you know, that's just not who I am. have to.
I can relate to all of that. So
Yeah.
I can totally understand what you're saying. Being a person that is not just because people say so many words, but then they don't actually live by those words. And I do feel like oftentimes I try to do that as well, like actually be a model or a representation of whatever it is that I'm speaking about, because people are watching it. Even with our rest event, I realized before, because the way it came to me, I realized I also needed to be able to practice what I preach. Basically, that's what I'm looking for right
Yeah.
there. As
Yeah.
opposed to like trying to tell other people that they should rest, but I'm not really resting. So I've really had to try to take the time and adapt to that. But that's kind of like why I understand what you're saying about taking that time to just be able to pause, because I can see the difference in my work. And I've always been one that thought, oh, I got to get this done. Like I was the one that really believed Rome could be built in a day. And then I had to find out the hard way 15 years later, but I finally got it. Like, hey, you know what? This is not working. So I understand that. So, what transformations or breakthroughs have you witnessed from women attending your retreats?
Oh my gosh. I have just witnessed, especially from the last retreat when we went to Costa Rica, just people, because I had each woman like decide what they wanted to accomplish each quarter and the steps to achieve it. And you could not move to the next quarter until you completed your quarter one. So if you didn't finish anything the whole year, you would have a quarter finished. And I had a lady who was living with her. She had been, and this lady was in her 50s, so she wasn't young. So but she was living with her mom. Her mom had put her out and she was now living with a brother. She owed like $20,000. She was in a bad relationship. And she literally wrote out, I want to get rid of my debt. I want to have my own place. And I want to find somebody who truly cares for me. And right now, she is like debt free. She moved into her new place January 9th. And she has found this amazing guy that is like head over heels. They're looking at rings. So it's that right there was her really surrendering, being authentic, because a lot of people wouldn't have shared that. And that's the thing about these soul sabbaticals is, you have an opportunity to be all just real with your situation, because you can't change if you're acting like you got it all together and you don't. You're never going to change. But she laid it out there in front of everybody. And right now she is walking out all that she said she was going to do. And that right there just it makes me say it's worth it. It's it's all worth it to see somebody's life change like that. So
yeah, and that sounds like a real transformation, not just from one angle, but that was three different angles. Like, I mean, that's a beautiful story.
yeah.
So as a certified purpose coach, how do you help women clarify their calling versus their conditioning?
Oh, that's good. I don't think I have ever had that question asked to me. So I really love that. I'm like, that's so good. Well, one thing that I do is I help them. My thing is about what's in your hands, because that was me under the tree with, okay, all I have are these buses. What can I do with what I had? Because I was only looking at what I could do with transportation. So I tried to be an Amazon, like DSP, the people with the vans. I was like, okay, we can do that because I already got drivers and, we just got to get the vehicles. We already had the infrastructure. That door closed. It was like, okay, I can do medical, like transport, going into rural areas with the charter buses. I mean, but the only thing I looked at was the transportation. I didn't look at anything else. And when I really sat there under the tree, I saw that I could help people, and I could help people in chaos with their business, how to survive an economic downturn, how to survive without going crazy, like to just utilize skills that they didn't even realize that they had. These were all things that I was like, wow, I didn't know I could coach and I can do speaking and all of these things. I didn't see that. So that's what I help other women see, is what do you have in your hands? It's based out of, that scripture with the Shunammite woman, when it was like, well, what do you have in your house? And she's like, all I have is this little oil. And
That's what I was thinking of. When you said it, that was my first thought. The woman with the oil. Okay.
Yes. Because most of the times we discount little stuff because we're looking for the big thing. Like you having the gift of speaking and doing a podcast. Well, some people that have that gift may not even like know that it was a thing, that this is a thing that you can do, and you can build a business with it and provide for your family and grow in so many different ways. But we sometimes don't look at stuff like the gift of speaking or interceding. One lady that I coached, like she was an intercessor, prayer. Now she has prayer retreats. She put out a prayer album, like a recording. So now people can download her prayers. She did a prayer journal. I mean, so stuff that most people would be like, okay, you pray for people, but that's nothing, because we're all thinking something big, like the big idea. But the big idea could be that small thing that's right there in your hands that you have overlooked. Or sometimes we're so busy comparing what we have with what other people have that we don't do the thing with what God has given us. And that's the biggest thing, because that comparison trap is no joke. It will have you stuck because you're like, I don't have the followers. I don't have this. I don't have the support that they have, so I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I agree.
And that's a good thing as well, especially because I feel like the times that we're in right now, being able to use our natural God-given gifts or the things that we already have in our possession is so much more pertinent, almost, that you would say, because as opposed to trying to go out and spend more money. But I do admit I am often one of those that is thinking big, and something has been telling me, like, just personally, that I need to be thinking of something smaller. Like there's something I'm overlooking that I could be doing, that might actually be that big thing, but it's really it's a small beginning to things. So I like that a lot. And so what's next for the Soul Sabbatical movement, and how can women tap in?
Oh my goodness. So what is next? I'm really, really asking myself that. You mean what's next after this one, right? So, okay, yep. So, just, I don't know. It's to be honest with you, it's like, I started doing these retreats. I do see taking women to an island, but I do see a sea of people. I see having workshops, like, if I do a week-long retreat away in some really exotic, secluded place, but really having entrepreneurs come and people, all types of people come over that week. And it is this huge event. So I see that, like, when we talk about starting small, this little thing that was spoken to me under the tree, I do see this turning into a movement. And even with this retreat, what I've done differently is I've brought in outside speakers. So I have a financial strategist coming who is a guru at finances and relationships. So she's coming and she's going to tie the whole rest into relationships. And because how we handle relationships is really how we handle money. And how we sometimes are stressed over relationships, we're stressed over money the same way, and we deplete ourselves, very similar. And then I have a lady who is, I call her like a soul-centered strategist, because she's actually in a year-long retreat. She has decided for 2026, she stepped away from her traditional job, and she's just traveling the world. Like she's going to go to Africa. But we, especially as Black women, we haven't seen that. Like I've never seen a person that intentionally steps away from a job, just go away. So she's going to come and really impart. How do you do that? How do you even start to think about that? Not saying I want to go away for a whole year, but she's just intentionally not doing any work. She's not. So she's going to come and just share how she was able to get to the point where she can do this. So I see it growing in that direction, and, just bringing podcasters there, just having a whole experience, so that's sort of what I see.
It sounds like that's going to be great. I'm claiming it for you. It's going to happen.
That's
so
right.
Also, I realized what we didn't discuss, though we touched on the retreat that's coming up, but we didn't share like the dates. And also, are tickets still available for guests?
Yes. So it is February 15th through the 17th. We still have a few slots left. So if one of your listeners or viewers, they decide they want to jump in, we would love that. We just actually today, I got notice that one of the writers for Black Enterprise, and she also does Travel Noir. I hadn't heard of that, but they have a huge following on Instagram as well. They're coming, they want to cover it. So I'm like, okay, so we do have some space. We were able to get a little bit more space. So if someone wants to join us, we would love, just go right on the website, JackieBGrice.com, and sign up. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have two more questions for you. Yes. One question is, how would you describe your swagger? What makes Jackie Jackie? And then I'll let you do your basically your connecting plugs after that.
Yeah. So I would say my swagger is just, laid back, just a person that is thoughtful, and I don't know, I'm just fun loving. I'm the youngest of 9 children, so I can be with the crowd, but I'm real good
being alone.
I can roll. We probably fancy, like, I feel like we got a kindred spirits together, but so I kind of say I'm an ambivert. I can be extra and
yeah. I say that too.
Yeah. So
well, okay. And so I just want to, before we close out, I would like for you to share your plugs, like your social media, your website again, just in case for people. And Jarmel has also been dropping things in the comments, like, where people can find you, but just for you to say it verbally as well would be good.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that, because as you know, we're trying to reach as many people as possible. So I would love for you I do a lunch and launch every Thursday at 12 o'clock. They're posted on YouTube under Launching Deeper with Jackie B. If you put in Jackie B. Grice, you can find me on YouTube. So I'd love for you guys to subscribe and follow. And of course, on Instagram, everything Jackie B. Grice, my website, all of that, because I am really trying to reach as many people and women as possible, because I just feel like we can't get to where we're supposed to go by ourselves. It takes a community of all of us working and interlocking together, supporting one another. And like I tell people, to subscribe to my channel doesn't take away from Swag Her. You know, we got to get out of that as people, sometimes people of color. It's like it's enough room for all of us to support all the things. And that's, you know, so I would just love that as I continue to try to grow out here on this social media world. I definitely would love that.
Well, I'm definitely going to be following. We'll follow from the Swagger page. We'll be fans there or followers there. And yeah, I think that is everything. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me, Jackie. This has been really good. And as you can see, I feel like I can relate to so much of what you said. If this interview wasn't for anybody, it was definitely for me. It was for me personally. But thank you for your yes and, you know, for taking the time out to speak to us. And I just wish you the best for your retreat.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So thank you all for tuning in. If you catch the replay, feel free to drop any questions or comments in the comments. We appreciate you watching, and peace and blessings, and y'all have a great evening.
Thanks for joining Jen Cares this week. Special thanks to our sponsors, Swag Her Magazine.